Wacko that told him that though.
Because his statement in his statement is Wack.
Bro, what you mean?
Damn, Triple
It's actually been 3
Obviously
years.
you ain't going to court because you was going to court.
Triple
Every time you go to court, they gonna let us know you going to court. So
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
what
case.
about
fool.
the gun case, bull?
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an
They will
open
give
gun
you
case.
your
Wack 100 been calling everybody a snitch for years, loud and non-stop like it's his full-time job. But now this leaked wiretap connected to 21 Savage just flipped everything upside down. People are digging back into Wack's 2005 federal gun case, and the streets are starting to ask the one question he never wanted floating around. Has he been double-crossing from the jump? Just picture it. The same man who always points fingers at rats might be the one who slipped up and flashed something he shouldn't have, even for a split second. And that tiny moment might be the moment that exposes everything. But that's not even the part shaking people the most. The word going around is that 21 Savage might have been the one who leaked that whole tape, not just passed it around. Leaked it on purpose. People out here saying he'd been sitting on that recording like a pressure switch, waiting for the perfect time to drop it. And honestly, who wouldn't understand that? Wack been dragging 21's name through the dirt for years, calling him a snitch, accusing him of making deals with immigration just to stay in the US, even trying to attach him to the whole YSL situation. And through all that, 21 mostly stayed quiet, threw a couple lines here and there, then kept it calm. But if he really let that wiretap go, that's not simple drama. That's strategy. Straight chess move, no talking, no warnings, just letting the audio do the heavy lifting.
some time. I don't know, 24 hours, 12 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 1 hour. I don't know. I'm gonna give you some time though, Gunner, for you to go ahead on and come.
After all those clubhouse sneak disses from Wack, it's like 21 finally said enough without even opening his mouth. And when you start putting all these pieces side by side, it really starts looking like Wack been shouting, "Snitch," just to keep eyes off his own situation. And the crazy part is, this ain't even the first time people wondered that. People been whispering about this for a long minute, but now it's hitting way harder. A few months back, reports popped up saying Big U got slammed with RICO charges, and right before he turned himself in, he jumped on video and straight up called out Wack 100, saying he was working with the feds. That's a heavy accusation, and now everything around it looking even more suspicious. Here's where the whole situation starts getting real shady. Before the RICO charges hit the news, before the arrests, before a single document got filed, Wack already knew the storm was coming.
Yeah, after you got that message, after you got the message, you hit up Big U's wife. You said, "Sis, 911. One sec, let me get Solo." And you gave him a heads up.
What I tell him?
You said, "One sec, let me get Solo. He needs to leave. Bad." In caps, all caps. He needs to leave.
I said so bad, right?
He called up Big U's wife and dropped a message like it was a code red urgent emergency level stuff. Told her he had to get out of there. Now hold on, what? This was before Big U even got touched by the feds. Wack out here ringing alarms like he's some kind of siren, but instead of helping, the whole thing feels like he was setting up the scene. That don't feel like a warning, it feels like a setup. Like Wack knew that Raid was about to crash through the door and wanted to look like the good guy after tipping somebody off. And it gets even weirder. After Big U got locked in, Wack jumped online wilding out, talking super reckless, trying to twist the story around and make Big U look like he was the snitch. Wack even said Big U had a BlackBerry he used to talk to the feds, but all that did was make folks side-eye Wack even harder. Like for real, why he always the first one to know what's coming? How is he always right in the center of every messy situation, but somehow never the one getting snatched up? That call to Big U's wife felt less like concern and more like a man playing both sides at the same time, warning the very person he might have helped get lined up, standing close to the fire, watching it burn bright, but somehow never getting touched by a single spark.
I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff. All of y'all fired. All y'all who be sending it around the internet, all y'all who be promoting and listening to what they saying, all y'all giving these likes and hidden likes, all y'all supporting it.
That's the moment folks started looking at Wack in a whole different way, seeing him not as some street gatekeeper, but maybe as somebody hiding behind the Watchdog Act instead of standing on the pavement like he claims. And all this mess didn't start yesterday. It goes way back. all the way to 2005 when Wack and his brother got pulled over in Texas. At first, it was nothing wild, just a speeding stop, routine questions from the cops. Wack told them they were heading to a funeral in Oklahoma, but when he and his brother refused the car search, the cops brought out the K9 unit, and that's when everything flipped.
I said, yeah, I don't know nothing about this. He said, man, y'all too tight. I see Big U signature. I see other signatures. I'm reading it. And what shook me was the police issued device to communicate with law enforcement in form of a black.
The dog picked up something, and officers found a shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol, all loaded. And here's the part nobody can pretend didn't happen. Wack and his brother were already convicted felons. Getting caught with loaded weapons as a felon? That's automatic federal time, straight up. There's no smooth exit from something like that. Cases like this shut down whole careers before they even get moving. But somehow Wack made bail and slid right back to LA like the whole situation was light work. Then everything went quiet. Real quiet. 2 whole years passed. No hearings, no trial, no public updates, nothing but silence. Then out of nowhere, the entire case gets dismissed. But it wasn't because evidence disappeared or the officers slipped up. Nope, the court stamped it as dismissed in the interest of justice. And hold on, what? Anyone who knows how the system really works with felons caught holding loaded guns knows that phrase doesn't fall out the sky like some miracle. That's not mercy or luck. That's a situation that makes people start asking questions loud and fast. That sounds like a trade, straight up. Somebody had to give something up. Later on, Wack tried to rewrite the whole situation, claiming the search was illegal and that's why the case got tossed. But that story was just smoke. The records were public, and not once did the court mention anything about an illegal search. Just a clean dismissal, no details, no explanation, nothing messy at all. And the timing? That's the part that sends chills through the whole story. Because just a couple years after that dismissal, Suge Knight, Wack's old boss from the death row days, started getting hit with heavy federal pressure. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Suge got slammed with a gang injunction, and his whole circle got broken apart. Wiretaps blasting through conversations, raids hitting different spots, names flying all through the paperwork. But somehow, Wack stayed untouched. No charges, no mentions, no heat, nothing. It was like he was invisible in a room full of spotlights. His name didn't show up one time, not even by accident. Then came that wild kidnapping case connected to Shaq, the one where the Main Street Crips got caught up. Inside the transcripts, there's a dude named Back making calls and leaving messages. And guess what? People been whispering for years that Back was really Wack 100. The street's been repeating that one like a rumor that never dies. Now fast forward to today. Wack all over the internet pointing fingers at everybody. Gunna, BG, Brick Baby, 21, even J Diggs, acting like he's the one deciding who's real and who's not. Like he's the street's moral compass or some type of judge. But let's keep it honest. That 2005 federal case does not match the image he keeps pushing. He out here talking tough, but those papers tell a different type of story. Walk away from a federal gun charge as a felon holding 3 illegal firearms in your trunk, loaded at that. Unless you're either the luckiest man walking on earth, or you handed something over. And now that new video popped up, the one where a police ID flashes for a split second, everything rushed right back to the surface. Not just the badge moment, not just the online drama, it's the whole history behind it that got people talking loud again. But that one question from almost 20 years ago still hangs in the air. What did Wack trade to walk away that clean? Because let's be real, Wack's whole brand been built around one word: snitch. That's his favorite insult. Anytime a rapper gets arrested or signs a plea, Wack jumps on Clubhouse yelling like he got a badge himself. He said, "They folded," over and over. He did it to Gunna, claiming he had a 2-hour interrogation tape and even threatened to leak it if Gunna didn't come clean. But the tape never appeared, not 1 second of it. Just more loud talking and no follow-up. Then he came for BG too, a man who already did over a decade locked in. Wack claimed BG cooperated, but no paperwork ever surfaced. Even BG's old cellmate came out and said BG stayed solid the entire time and never folded. But did Wack listen? Not even a little. He kept talking like he was reading off reports, even though he had zero proof. He just kept running his mouth with no receipts, no evidence, nothing. And yeah, on the surface, to people who don't dig into details, it might look like Wack is standing on some type of code. But the folks who really been watching him are seeing the pattern now. Wack gets the loudest whenever the spotlight gets close to him. Every time something questionable pops back up, he flips the script fast and starts pointing fingers at somebody else. And here's the part that got people side-eyeing heavy. Wack records everybody, for real. He hits record on convos like it's muscle memory. That's not how real ones move. You don't record every conversation unless you plan to use it later or slide it to somebody else. People are finally catching on, especially after noticing a trend. Some of the rappers he pulled onto Clubhouse ended up catching cases later. Loose Cannon went up there, and folks swear the energy shifted right after that. It's like every time someone gets too close to Wack's circle, trouble starts forming around them, and he somehow ends up untouched while still yelling that same word, snitch. Talked a little too much, and boom, got jammed up later. Now people are wondering if Wack was lining these dudes up on purpose, getting them to talk wild while the cameras rolled, making sure those clips went viral so prosecutors could swoop in later. The whole thing starting to feel too organized, like a setup with extra steps. From how he pushes people into arguments to how certain leaks just magically show up right when they benefit him. It's looking way too convenient. Not everything is hard proof, sure, but that pattern, it's getting harder and harder to ignore. At some point, you gotta step back and ask yourself what's really happening here. That leaked badge video might have been the spark, but it didn't appear out of nowhere. This fire been building slow for years. It started with that 2005 case that vanished like it never existed in the first place. Then came him knowing about the Rico heat before it even hit the news. Add in all the wiretap rumors, the badge flash moment, the habit of recording every conversation. It's looking less like coincidence and more like a plan with layers. And now everything is boiling over loud. Wack been riding this wave like he could never fall, but the streets are connecting dots, and the picture forming ain't looking good at all. That wiretap didn't just expose one moment, it peeled back a whole blueprint. People out here saying this ain't just about clout or regular beef, it's about control. Wack been building a messy throne off secrets, manipulation, and fear. Think about it. Why would a man who claims he got dirt on everybody always make sure there's a mic near him? Always leaking just enough to shake the room, but never enough to scorch himself? It's like he playing puppet master from the shadows while pretending he's just keeping it real in the game. But folks aren't buying that storyline anymore. Even people who used to back him heavy are starting to switch up behind closed doors. Some industry heads been stepping back, labels staying quiet, artists moving away slow. All while Wack keeps talking like everything around him is solid when it's clearly starting to crack. Not speaking up the way they used to, not standing beside him like before, that whole Clubhouse King energy Wack had is fading fast. Because once the streets feel like you moving like a plant, using your platform to get people talking reckless so they end up trapped later, there's no coming back from that. Respect turns into suspicion real quick, and whatever loyalty was there starts slipping away. And remember, all this circles back to one huge question that never got answered. How did a felon with 3 loaded guns tied to a federal case walk away clean, stay free for decades, and move untouched while everybody around him caught charges or heat? Now with all this smoke floating around, leaked audio, strange timing, federal whispers, people ain't looking at Wack like just a loud mouth anymore. They're looking at him like a full-on problem. And if this next tape drops, the one folks keep talking about, some people think it might be game over for real. Rumors flying everywhere saying there's another recording, and this one hits way harder than the last one we saw. Word on the streets is somebody holding footage that could finally expose how deep Wack's ties really go, not just with rappers, but with people way above street level. We talking about government names, quiet meetings behind closed doors, and sealed agreements that were never supposed to reach daylight. And what makes it even messier? Folks out here saying Wack been paying to keep certain clips from dropping. Supposedly cutting quiet deals behind the scenes, trying to make sure certain voices stay silent and certain files stay buried where nobody can touch them. But everybody knows secrets don't stay locked away forever, especially when you spent years making enemies on every platform you touched. And with all the people he's upset, all the bridges he burned, and all the names he dragged, the streets are waiting to see who finally steps forward with the footage that blows his whole image apart. From Clubhouse to podcast to the streets, Wack been out here pressing everybody like he's the judge and the jury. But if this new tape drops, it could flip everything upside down in one move. People already been questioning how he operates, but this might be the final nail in that image he's been trying so hard to sell. All that tough talk, all those "he's a snitch" claims he throws at everybody, suddenly it might start looking like straight projection. Because let's keep it real. If the streets get a hold of something solid, like real footage showing him moving foul, it's over. There's only so many times you can talk circles around people before the truth starts yelling louder than you ever could. And once that tape hits a timeline, ain't no turning back from that. All those years of Wack dodging questions, flipping stories, calling people out left and right, all of it could crash down with one single click of a play button. This isn't just messy, it feels calculated. And the deeper people dig into the timeline, the clearer it starts looking. Like Wack might have been hiding in plain sight the whole time, acting bold while keeping something major tucked away. Think about it for a second. All these rappers he's accused of being snitches, No paperwork, no confirmed cooperation, just loud noise. But the one name that keeps circling back whenever a case disappears, whenever somebody gets exposed, whenever the feds seem a little too informed, is Wack 100. His name keeps floating back into the conversation like a shadow that never fades. And that's what makes this whole situation different. This ain't just about trying to prove he's tied to some federal connection. It's way bigger than that. It's about a pattern people been watching build up for years, a pattern that might finally make sense once this next tape drops. If that footage is real, it won't just shake the room, it'll crack the whole foundation of the image he's been pushing. It's about what all this really means. If it's true, if Wack been plugged in this whole time, feeding off chaos, pulling strings while calling himself real, then the whole story we've been fed about loyalty, street codes, and who really runs this culture might have been a lie from the start. People joke about it online, but let's be honest, none of this is funny anymore. Not when lives get shaken up, careers get knocked off track, and families get dragged into mess all because of what one man says behind a mic. And now that same man, the one who built his whole brand yelling snitch at everybody, is the one folks are really side-eyeing heavy. People are asking the one question that flips the whole table. What if he was wired from the very beginning? Because if that's the truth, then this whole game been compromised for years without anybody noticing. And the wildest part? Wack still talking, still going live, still stirring drama like nothing's happening. And whatever he says next, that might be the final spark that blows everything wide open. If you're watching this and you're feeling the same energy we're feeling, hit that subscribe button for real. Smash that like, drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear what's really going on. Mike Trip channel bringing the real every time. No filters, no fake vibes. Stay locked in, because this story is far from over, and the next chapter might be the one that shakes the whole room for real.